On to try and prevent South Africa's credit rating from falling to sub-investment grade. Fitch downgraded the country's credit rating to one level above that grade on Friday. Another rating agency, Standard & Poor's, was already on that ranking and kept its rating stable but changed its outlook from stable to negative. There are concerns over economic growth and the handling of growing debt. It's a stern warning to the government to get its fiscal house in order to face serious consequences.
The new ratings came as no surprise. They were largely expected.
They were not unexpected, not a big shock. I mean, they just reflect the state of our economy, what we've already known, that the growth is too weak and government finances are under a lot of pressure. And this simply means that there is a likelihood, or maybe let me say a possibility, that we could see further downgrades over the next 2 years maybe, if things do not improve.
So the writings on the wall, a downgrade to junk status, will not only raise South Africa's borrowing costs in world financial markets, but it will also seriously damage the country's global image.
It's a very strong possibility. When you look at the statements of the two agencies, you know, they do stress the various challenges that we're facing as an economy, and they talk about growth, they talk about the power shortages, they talk about other structural constraints, and they also talk about the state of government finances, particularly related to contingent liabilities, which are the liabilities of the state-owned enterprises, and the drag which they are on government finances.
What does the government need to do to avoid the country's rating falling to junk status?
We have to work very, very hard at improving some of the very negative impacts that some of our current legislation has got and some of the proposed legislation. Those include the protection of investment and intellectual property bill, which has recently been enacted, which made our multinationals particularly very concerned about whether their intellectual property will be protected. It's also about what is happening at SAA and at Eskom, and those two really need to find means of improving the image which they are presenting across the world as to what South Africa is like.
But sorting out the long-running mess of boardroom dramas and financial shambles at SAA is always easier said than done. The latest news out of the national carrier is that the Hawks have now been brought in to investigate allegations of racial sabotage of a black pilot by his white counterparts and financial losses at the airline. Mbongeni Mutua, SABC News, Johannesburg.